No notes, amazing, incredible. Slightly unpopular opinion. And I took offense to that. But at the end of the day, it's still a Chili's. Are these S tier? Yes. It deserves its own category. I hate it that much. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. I have a very exciting video because I love watching these videos, and that is tier ranking. Whether it is books or video games, I think it's really fun to listen to people's opinions about things that they are really passionate about on the good and the bad spectrum. So today we are going to be tier ranking every fantasy series that I have read, with a few caveats, of course, because it's me. I didn't think I had enough books to talk about. Then when I went through my list, I think I have exactly 40 books. Just to go over what we're talking about here, this is including series, but I'm not going to be individually ranking every book in the series. So a series as a whole gets its own ranking. I will call out if there's one like standalone or favorite, and that includes series that I have finished and series that I have started but will or won't continue for whatever reason. I feel like that's pretty telling in the ranking that something gets, if I'm willing to continue on with the series. So these are a lot of just popular, mostly YA, new adult type fantasy with a few others in there. Gothic fantasy, definitely a lot of fantasy romance. So first, we're going to get into the tier ranking, just so you can kind of get a gist of where my head's at. Speaking of tier rankings, grab your beverage of choice. For me, it's the best soda to ever exist. It's a Diet Dr. Pepper, and let's get into it. Okay, obviously starting off, S tier, needs no explanation. My ride or dies. I love these books. I think they're objectively amazing books, and they also just really personally mean a lot to me. So that's S tier. Next we have just really, really good books, but they're not like my all-time favorites. These are usually like 4-star reads for me. No notes, amazing, incredible. Then we're getting into more B tier. It's like a chain restaurant. I love them. Personally, they have their place. They're good when you just want something that you know you're gonna like, that's predictable, you know what you're gonna get. But at the end of the day, it's still a Chili's, right? I personally love Chili's, but I'm not going there for like my birthday for like an extravagant, really top tier experience. You know, that's kind of how I feel about those books. Then we're getting the bottom half of the list. C tier is just a book that exists. It's forgettable. It's not terrible. It's not bad by any means, but nothing that I would personally recommend to people. Then the bottom two, just really bad. And then F tier, I think I only have one book on this list for F tier, and it deserves its own category. I hate it that much. So we'll get there eventually. So that's the tier ranking. Let's jump into this. Okay, I don't know exactly how the order that I'm going to do these, but let's just start with two very popular and in my opinion very good YA fantasy series. Shadow and Bone, which this is kind of, I think, a slightly unpopular opinion. I think it goes in B tier. I personally really like it. I don't think it's like incredible, amazing. Like, I think that Six of Crows deserves A tier. That duology is objectively just so good, really well written, really amazing characters. I also really like what they did with the show. And I guess we can just also keep on the Leigh Bardugo train with Ninth House. I really liked this, but I found it a bit forgettable. It just didn't pull me in as much as I hoped it would. I'm really hoping to reread this though, and then read Hellbent, because I obviously do enjoy Leigh Bardugo's writing. Let's just do a few more B tiers. So Black Sun, I thought that was good. I liked it. Study in Drowning, I also think is B tier. It didn't hit quite all the marks, but a lot of people I'm sure will like it. It's just easy and palatable, something decent. I'm sorry, I know this one's gonna hurt some people, but From Blood and Ash is, people apparently like this book. That person's not me. I thought it was really bad. Really bad, really drug on. Not for me. Not for me at all. Let's do, okay, how about, okay, Invisible Life of Addie LaRue for me is an S tier. It just is. It's just a favorite of mine. I love it very much. Daughter of the Pirate King, I actually loved that book because I love pirates. I'm biased. I love a pirate story, thought it was really cute. I also really love the Disney Pixar movie Brave. And Daughter of the Pirate King very much gave me Merida from Brave vibes. This is a book that exists. Mexican Gothic was just okay. I personally think that Belladonna was a lot better. Very similar Gothic fantasy vibes. I personally preferred Belladonna. I didn't find Mexican Gothic to really do it for me. Same with Book of Night. Again, I loved Holly Black's Cruel Prince trilogy. We'll get to that one in a second. I thought the Book of Night was incredibly forgettable. I listened to it like on a car road trip once and then it just left my brain completely. Oof. Again, The Starless Sea, another one where I love the other book from this author, but this book just didn't make sense to me. Okay, For the Wolf, this one is completely forgettable. Would recommend it. Not unique in any way. Another not unique in any way, The Red Queen. This is literally a copy paste from every other YA book you've ever read. Provides absolutely nothing exciting, fun, different. Wouldn't recommend. Let's do something good. Okay, S tier, The Night Circus. This is by the same author from The Starless Sea. Starless Sea just didn't hit, whereas Night Circus is like peak fantasy book for me. Absolutely love it. Let's see. Okay, I'm sorry, but I know a lot of people like Fourth Wing. I thought it was very similar to Red Queen, where it provided nothing fresh and exciting and new. The writing was really bad. I know a lot of people like it, but that person is just not me. Two more S tiers. Lord of the Rings, very obvious. I mean, come on. It's my favorite trilogy of all time, as well as The Hobbit. Let's see. I was unsure if I wanted to include Red Rising in this because it's a bit more of a sci-fi, but I just feel like to me it just read really similar to a lot of like the YA fantasy trilogies that I read. I am halfway done with this one. I've read the first two, so I have some more books to go, and I will be continuing the series. I also didn't mention, I realized some of these others in this bad D category, I didn't and I will not continue to read them, whereas something like a Red Rising that I liked and I will be continuing. Same with Belladonna. I haven't read the sequel to that. I'll continue things that are here in this B tier. Anything below that, probably not if it's in a series. Midnight Library was so forgettable and I had such high hopes for that one, but it really was pretentious and it didn't achieve what it wanted to do. It really thought it was doing something and it just didn't deliver. Under the Whispering Door, I found so disappointing because I loved The House by the Cerulean Sea so much. I found Under the Whispering Door so grating and just really unenjoyable, unfortunately, because like I said, I really loved House by the Cerulean Sea, which gave very similar vibes to Howl's Moving Castle, which also is an A tier, just like peak fantasy to me, really cozy. We're getting down to like some really good ones here, and some really bad ones, to be honest, because we're kind of like evenly split at this point. Let's tackle these Sarah J. Maas series, right? Okay. For me personally, A Court of Thorns and Roses is my favorite, and it is that for me. It's an S tier. While I think that Throne of Glass is an S tier, I just don't think so, for me personally. It just didn't hit quite as hard. It drug on in some places, but honestly, some really incredible books. The Assassin's Blade, if I had separated these out by book, Assassin's Blade, Kingdom of Ash, and Tower of Dawn would be an S tier, but the rest of them are just kind of more A tier, 4 stars to me. So overall, I'm putting that in A tier. And Crescent City is, I could not get into Crescent City. I have read all 3 books now, and I feel like it was just 3,000 pages of books that I really didn't need to read. It exists. I genuinely do not know if I will continue them. I think I might be just done with Crescent City. The first one might have been in B tier, chain restaurant level, an Olive Garden, if you will. I'll go there sometimes and really enjoy it. but I really have to be in the mood. I really have to just be in that mindset. Generally, it's just something that exists to me. City of Bones was my first Cassandra Clare, and it didn't start out well. It's not a good book, but this is another exception where I might continue to read it simply for the multiverse, because there's, for some unknown reason to me, I really am curious about the entire multiverse of all of Cassandra Clare's books. I believe that's the Mortal Instruments series, and then there's the Shadow Hunter and something else. But I'm the kind of person where if something exists in a multiverse universe, I have to read it all, and I prefer to have the backstory and have the first pieces of the content in my brain already, even if I know that it gets better. This is kind of one of those things where I might do it just for the backstory and just kind of accept it is what it is. But that book itself was a total fucking mess. Okay, y'all know I blab on about Babel all the time. It is an all-time favorite for me. A River Enchanted, I'm actually reading the sequel to this right now. Really, really enjoyed that one. I love kind of folklore setting of that. Really, really enjoyed it. That one was actually a 5-star, but it's just not quite S tier to me. That's kind of a unique situation. Just something about it in my spirit. It just isn't an S tier, but I do really enjoy them. I think for the time that I read it, that was just a 5-star. The Atlas 6 is not good. It's just not good. I believe I can't even remember if I read the sequel because they're so forgettable and contrived. I did read the second one, also found it just as disappointing, so I won't be continuing that series. That's officially, I'm done with that. Serpent and Dove is a just exists. I read the second one, won't be continuing it. Really basic. A Discovery of Witches for me is S tier. Absolutely love the series. Haven't read the final one yet. But if you really like vampires and witches and a 30-something female protagonist, which is kind of a bit different than a lot of these other books, I usually tend to read YA and new adult, kind of teen, early 20s. Discovery of Witches is a 30-something main character, and I really enjoyed that. Caraval, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it is. I obviously really love that circus festival vibe, the night circus. Caraval is like a chain version of the night circus. Like, the night circus is Nobu Sushi, and Caraval is just the local all-you-can-eat down the street from your house, where it's still good and you still enjoy it, and that's what you're gonna kind of go to more often, whereas, you know, the Nobu is a special treat. Okay, for me, I've said this in a video, the more YA fantasy I read and the longer time goes on, the more I look back and really love the Cruel Prince trilogy. I really love it. I would like to reread it, and I think I might even rank them higher the second time. I just think it's really good. Powerless was okay. It was just okay. It was fun. I enjoyed the couple in that. I think their banter and their chemistry was really good. But as far as the story, it was really nothing special. Same with Divine Rivals. Really liked it. I'm planning on reading the second one. I've started it at this point, and I just put it on hold because I couldn't focus on it at the moment. But I did really enjoy that. I love the writing, love letter, historical fiction type of aspect to that one. Really reads more like a historical fiction than a fantasy in my opinion. We're getting to the nitty gritty here. Let's do, okay, Legends and Lattes. Love it, amazing, incredible. Really enjoyed that one. Same with Once Upon a Broken Heart. It's just true. As you can see, I said that I was picky with my 5-star S tiers. I have quite a few in there. Looking at this now, I'm kind of like proving to myself that I do a pretty good job of choosing books that I think I'm gonna like, and I do tend to choose things that are pretty well received, pretty well highly rated, and I end up just liking them because I just love fantasy so much. Unless it's like really, really, really boring and you really can't write characters, I'm probably gonna give it like a B or above tier. That being said, Sword Heart, really did not enjoy that reading experience. Sword Heart was one where I really thought I would like it because like Discovery of Witches, it's an older female character, more around my actual age, and it just didn't hit. The two characters were so insufferably annoying. And then we have two at the bottom now here where we're going two ends of the spectrum, okay? The Zodiac Academy is the only book on this list that I have DNF'd and the only book that I think deserves to be an F tier because it was so bad that I was personally offended by it. This book is about two Gemini twin sisters. And I took offense to that. They were written so terribly. They were so dumb. They made so many bad decisions. I'm convinced that this author has never been a Gemini in their life. I took that shit personally. Also, just in the general content of this book, I didn't realize what the kids these days apparently consider to be a bully romance. To me, this was just straight up abuse. Made me extremely uncomfortable, made me so mad that I stopped reading this halfway through. Wouldn't recommend it to anybody. Don't think it's a book that even should exist. I really think it really gives the Zodiac and astrology name a bad rep. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we're going with another love of mine, an S tier. The Serpent and the Wings of Night, specifically Six Scorched Roses, the novella. I've talked about it before. One of my favorite books I read in the entirety of last year. Just loved this entire series. Really excited for the next one that's coming out later this year. That's it. That's my final tier list. I'm actually surprised. I didn't plan this out before I filmed this. I'm actually surprised how many I have in the top half. But to be honest, fantasy is my favorite thing to read, so it really should be no shock to me that this is how it kind of plays out. And now that I'm looking at this, I think this is pretty... I just want to take one last look at this and see if there's any changes or adjustments that I need to be made, because you know what happens. I'm an editor actually, kind of by trade. So let's see. Are these S tier? Yes. Yes, they are. Discovery of Witches is the only one where no. Nope. I'm standing by this list. Please remember that books and opinions are very, very personal to you, your life experience, your preferences. So please don't take offense unless you like the Zodiac Academy. And then I personally would like to send you an invoice for the trauma that that book caused me, who have just told me that it's like the best series ever. I can't think of a world where that reality exists. I can't even think of a fantasy world where that fake reality exists. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's really fun for me to actually just rank all of my favorite books because I love reading fantasy so very much. Feel free to leave me a comment below. Let me know if I should give any of these a second try. Please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. I will catch you in the next video. Bye.